Yes, it's gonna be a good one today, guys. I'll show you that you don't need expensive gear, lighting, or a studio to make a really cool handheld B-roll sequence like this. I'll show you exactly how to film a B-roll sequence like this and how you can use pretty much anything you have laying around in the house to light it. It took me around 3 or 4 hours to film and edit this one, and I promise you, you will be able to do the same by the end of the video. I'll break down the whole filming process for you. But first the basics, because even though you don't need a lot of expensive gear, you do need a good basic setup to start with. And the more you think about it before you start filming, the easier it will be and the better the end result will be. Okay, so what do you need? First of all, a surface to put the lens on, and I like wood. It always looks nice, but it depends on the look you're going for. If you want a more minimalistic or slick look, then a glass surface or a metal surface will look nice. And it also depends on the color of your item. Make sure that the colors match and all those things, you know, basic stuff. For my sequence, I used a simple wooden desk and the background is a black sheet of paper that I taped on the wall. That's it. And make sure to clear the whole surface because you don't want any crap laying around in the corners. Even though it might not look like it, little things like that will always show up in the background when you're filming and you don't want that. Now this is where it can get expensive, but I promise you, you don't have to buy new expensive things. My main light is this cheap LED panel and I bought it a few months ago for just 50 bucks. I talked about it in another video, I will link it up here. But you can basically use anything, even a simple light bulb will do, and just put a white sheet of paper in front of it so the light looks a little bit softer and it's not the same as a light box, but it will do the trick. And for the background I used this clamp lamp, and while it did work, I wish it was a little bit stronger because I shot the sequence at 120 frames per second and a shutter speed of 320, so you do need a lot of light. You can see here in the first shot behind the lens that on the desk it looks okay, but there's not enough light on the black background itself. And I fixed it in the next shots by just putting the lamp a little bit closer, but then the lit area became a lot smaller, and ideally I would have liked a little bit more light in the background. So make sure that your lights are strong enough for the settings that you're going to use. And I also used this white painting canvas as a reflector, and again you can just use anything as long as it's white and you can put it upright. Finally, make sure that all the curtains and doors are closed because you want the light to be consistent. So I used the Canon M50, 500 bucks. It's not the best camera in the world, but it does a great job. I shot the whole sequence at 120 frames per second. Now, the only problem is that the M50 only shoots 120 frames per second at 720p. But actually for a sequence like this, I prefer 120 frames per second over 1080p. And I also have to say that I sped up most of the clips when editing by 200%, so if you can't shoot at 120 frames per second, 60 frames per second will do just fine. What else? I used manual focus, manual white balance, and I shot the whole sequence at ISO 400, so nothing fancy, and I think you can even shoot a sequence like this with your phone, but the only problem will be then that you won't have that nice shallow depth of field for most of the shots. And that's about it, so let's start filming. One last thing, I'm using the Canon M50 to film myself, so I will be using another camera to show you how I do the shots. Oh guys, it's so hot today. I mean, a lot of you know by now that I'm making these videos in the Dominican Republic, you know, tropical island, so always hot. But it's really bad today and I don't have air conditioning. I can't turn on the fan because of the sound. That's also why most of the time I'm wearing a black t-shirt while making these videos. Use your imagination. This is my setup, and usually I don't move anything during the whole shoot. I might move a lamp just a little bit if I want a nice reflection in the glass, but the overall setup stays the same. If you start moving things, depending on what you want to highlight here, then the shoot will take a lot longer. So we've got the lens on a wooden surface, my main light over here coming in at an angle, then the reflector to brighten up the shadows over here, and the light for the background here. And now it's just a matter of filming. For the opening shot, I want to come from under the desk to reveal the lens and then move up in the end to make the whip transition. And just to remind you, I'm using the GoPro now to show you all the movements because I'm filming myself with the Canon M50. And I also don't stop recording for each try. I keep it rolling so that in the end I have one file with all the takes and I can just scroll through to check which is the best one. And even if you don't want the under the desk reveal or the whip transition at the end, it's always good to shoot it because you might change your mind when you're editing. The next shot is simple, just set the focus where you want it to be and then move over the lens. Okay, like this. Again, get more footage than you actually need because you might need it after all. And I keep doing it until I feel that I have one or two good ones. Then we have another shot traveling over the lens, so again, first set the focus where you want the focus to be and start moving over the lens. And next we have all the shots with the reflections in the glass, and that's a little bit trickier because you're gonna have to move or the lens or a lamp just a little bit to get the perfect reflection in the glass. What you're looking for is that cool moving reflection in the glass. So you really need to make sure that all the angles are perfect to get a good reflection. Now, how do you get that nice smooth movement? Well, first of all, shoot at 60 frames or 120 frames per second so you can slow the footage down, that will smoothen it out. And also, if it takes too long, just take a little break so your muscles can rest a little bit. And if you're working on a surface like this, you can also take a piece of cloth, put the camera on there, and you can get a nice smooth slide like that. And these shots are the most difficult ones because ideally I want to go around and keep the lens exactly in the same spot in the frame. And I think that's about it, guys. I don't think I missed anything. If I did, just let me know in the comments. Keep liking, sharing, and subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you so much for watching and see you next time. Oh, thank God it's over. I need a shower. But good news on the whole temperature thing, because in a few weeks I'm going back to Belgium and that should be a lot better, a lot cooler, literally. And also good news for you, because I'm gonna build a brand new YouTube studio there where I'm gonna record all of my videos, and I have a lot of big plans for the channel, so stay tuned.